People don't see muskox. They stand, they stand. We can watch the wind blow. We can watch the snow coat them. A species that's been there for 250,000 years. But when you see black dots scattered across a hillside, there is magic.
For more than 4 decades, Dr. Joel Berger has worked his magic to preserve species and landscapes in nearly every corner of the planet. With a heavy focus on migratory animals, Berger's research has shown the importance of these species to our planet.
He just wants to be out there doing the work and saving these species, saving these landscapes. He's advancing our ability to look at whole systems, to look at truly a global issue.
For the last decade, he has worked in the most perilous regions of the Siberian Arctic on a study of muskox populations.
Well, muskox are very similar to polar bears in that they are kind of a flagship species for climate change.
They are feeling certainly the heat. So as we've been watching climate change occur at the top of the world, changing 2 to 3 times faster than the Earth's average, the opportunities for the muskox to go north further are gone because there's no more land.
Never afraid to challenge the status quo, Berger has tested the limits of the Namibian government while working to save the African country's black rhino populations in the early 1990s.
Black rhinos were being slaughtered. There were probably, by the late 1980s, there were maybe 3,500 left. Namibia didn't have the financial resources for anti-poaching patrols. The Namibian government decided to cut off the horns, the idea being, what's a rhino without a horn?
And you know why we take the horns off of some of the rhinos?
Because poachers couldn't shoot it.
The most important conclusion of his research was the dehorned rhinos were unable to protect their young from the local predators. The reproductive success plummeted with these dehorned rhinos.
You have to be a really brave whistleblower to say something that you know might actually get you expelled from the country. But he knew that that was the more important story to tell. He wasn't afraid to tell it.
That led to a bit of a storm, and we were eventually kicked out of the country. So we left under this veil, and it was very controversial.
In 2008, Berger would challenge the state of Wyoming when his research revealed that over 70% of pronghorn migration lands had been lost in the Grand Teton National Park. Development by oil and gas companies was threatening to take that number lower.
If the migration corridor was severed, that animal would go extinct in the national park. We collected over 11,000 data points through the pronghorn's eyes as they were moving through the landscape. And then conservation movements stemmed from that information.
Pronghorn left the winter range and they're on their way back this direction.
It's an insurmountable mountain getting the numbers of individual groups together, private sector to public, to talk about an issue of migration of a species. It doesn't take long to realize his agenda is actually quite out there in front. I'm here for the conservation of wild species.
Dubbing the region the Path of the Pronghorn, Berger preserved portions of a 350-mile section of terrain, creating what is now the only protected corridor in the U.S.
Here's a guy who's in his early 60s. Most people slow down a bit, but Joel has got so much energy, so much drive.
He carries pictures in his wallet of the different animals he's working on so he can show people when he talks about them.
How do we go from caring to trying to do something? I like to do it because the animals are still there. I hope other people will want to do it because the animals are still there.